Hello, and welcome to another episode of BTC Sports Line. We have a lot on the agenda to discuss today. The Copa America games have come to a conclusion, and the Euro 2016 games are halfway through. There is much to debate on both topics, starting with a dramatic finish to the Copa finals and a certain player declaring his retirement from international play. All that will lead into our next discussion of players from Team USA reporting back to their regular MLS soccer season. I will have with me Kira Vig and Austin Nips, who will be talking about their thoughts and opinions on how the rest of the MLS season will play out, and the ever so favorite topic of Messi versus Ronaldo in the American and European international games. Also, later, Ray will be back to join me, and we'll be going over our favorite pastime and team, the Seattle Mariners, and how things can turn around for them going into this all-star break. With me first, I have Austin Nips. Thanks for being on the show today, Austin.
Thank you for having me.
So, as we all know, the Copa games have come to a conclusion. Chile won that in a dramatic finish with penalty kicks, 4-2 against Argentina. Portugal played yesterday in Europe. Those games are based in France, and they beat Poland barely, and also penalty kicks with a 5-3, kind of the reverse flip side of what happened to Argentina there. But Portugal hasn't really been playing too well in the tournaments.
I don't agree with that. I think they've been playing for their standards pretty well. They aren't a great team, so you can't expect them to be playing like Argentina. Yes, they have one of the best in the world, but that's the thing about international. You don't get to choose where you go. You're born under a nation, you play for that nation. Ronaldo doesn't have the support that Messi has or Lewandowski at Germany. Like, these players have great support around him, and Ronaldo doesn't.
Well, Argentina won in kind of big fashions in their games in the Copa games, and Portugal's been like squeezing by. They literally only beat one team in all of these games so far, in Croatia, and that's it. And I think that was still in like extra minutes of the game. Yeah,
and I mean they shouldn't be even as far as they are in the tournament right now, in my opinion. But they are, and maybe they'll keep squeezing by. Reality will eventually kick in, and I think they'll lose, honestly. They're not going to make far
the next round is the semifinals. They'll be playing either Belgium or Wales.
I think if they play Belgium, they're going to struggle a lot more, simply because that is a team that you don't have many superstars, but you have a great team. And their communication is on point, and they have this chemistry that is not presented in many nations, Portugal being one of them. And if they play Wales, it's another scenario of you have your superstar Gareth Bale, and it would be a sloppy game between the two. They play on the same club team, and they actually play in the exact same position, well, opposite, but Ronaldo is a left winger and Gareth Bale is a right winger, so they have the same role, and they would be matched up on the same side of the pitch if they played.
That's kind of an interesting matchup to see.
It would be really fun.
Two teammates going against each other for their nations.
Yeah, and that if Belgium wins that game, I think Portugal will lose pretty dominantly. Although on the other hand, if Bale's team pulls through, then you might see just a sloppy game but a fun rivalry.
That's true. I mean, I feel like all the games for Portugal have been a little sloppy.
Yeah.
But so all that aside, Ronaldo and Messi is saying he's retiring from international play. He's saying he's done. Yeah. He's not going to play on the international level anymore. Do you believe that, or do you think that when the World Cup comes around, he's going to change his mind?
I mean, only Messi knows the answer to that. I really hope that he decides to come back, because I want to see him bring a trophy to his nation. I mean,
there's a lot of pressure that's been put on him.
It's a lot of pressure, and especially with him messing up how he did in the finals of the third tournament. It's gonna be hard for him.
It would be great to see some of the two most debated best players in the world go head to head in Portugal and Argentina in the next World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the groups work, but if they could somehow play, that would be
It's kind of up for grabs. You don't get to pick your groups. It's
yeah,
just by
yeah,
random,
I know,
so.
and that's what I'm saying. If they got in the same group and they could play against each other, I would really hope Messi comes back because I want to see him bring home a title.
Neither has won a major title for their country. Will that play into their legacy at the end if they can't get that feat to be accomplished?
I feel for Ronaldo's accepted it for many years that he's not getting an international title because his team's just not there, and I don't think he'll ever be there in his career. But Messi, on the other hand, I feel he will regret not bringing home at least one.
With all the talent stacked around him.
Yeah, because he knows.
Three in a row. He's lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
He lost the World Cup to Germany. He lost to Chile last year in the Copa games. In almost the same fashion that they lost this year. I mean,
the only difference is he really blew it this time on it, and it was all on him. He knows it, and
they had a chance. I mean, he just sailed that kick. The goalie went the other way, and
I mean, I refer it because even people who don't understand soccer know of David Beckham's miss years ago, and he does it all the time. And that's what I felt I was watching, like one of the best players in the world just completely sailing it over. You're taught as a young kid never to send it high for that reason right there. You just place it in the bottom right.
Yeah, it was sad to see. And that's kind of all the time we have left to talk about the Copa Euro games. So when we come back from break, we'll be bringing out Kira to talk about the MLS season and how the Sounders can get back on track with the return of Dempsey to the lineup and hopefully turn their season around. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. With me, I have Austin Nips, and now joining us, we have Kira Vig. Thanks for being on the show, Kira.
Thanks for having me.
So we know that the Sounders are getting a big player back now. Dempsey is returning from Team USA from international play. And that's kind of one thing I don't really understand about soccer in general is how we can have a regular season here, but your top players are going to be leaving to go play international play. How does that really work?
Well, it doesn't work for us, but for like the Barclays Premier League, which is renowned as the top league in the world, they're in their off season right now. So they need something to do. And I think what we just need is a deeper squad because everyone else on the MLS is losing their international players as well. So it really should even out the field.
That's a good point. It didn't really even out the field for the Sounders at all. They didn't play so well. I think they only had 2 goals in his absence in 4 games, and 3 goals, correct that, 3 goals in his absence. But Dempsey did lead Team USA in goals and assists while he was away. So by adding this one player back, is that going to help the team? I know one player can't do it all, but how does that help the Sounders?
I don't think it might help them a little bit, but I don't think it's going to get them out of the hole they've dug themselves. Combined with the reffing and just the team as a whole, we're having a horrible season.
Reffing, that's a good point. Reffing hasn't been that great. What are your guys' thoughts on not blaming the refs, but
well, it's going to happen. You're going to get bad calls. You have to learn to play without worrying about that. That can't be getting in your head. You can't be thinking, oh, well, that was totally for me, and then quit playing. You have to get right back up and give it back to the ball.
But they've had some pretty bad calls, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say, Kira?
But whether you get back up or not, the ref still calls you a handball.
And it's going to happen, and that's something you have to deal with. Every team goes through it, and there's a period, and it's a really unfortunate period right now because their team, I don't think, is prepared to go against the refs, but in a sense. But Dempsey coming back, he's going to be a key to that team. If you ask me, he's a mediocre player, but in the MLS, he shines really well because he can get away with certain cheeky plays.
I know that bad calls can happen and you have to bounce back, but it just seems like the Sounders have just been really misfortunate with what's been happening. They had a handball call that didn't go their way, but yet they got called on a handball that should have got called, or it shouldn't have got called.
It wouldn't be as bad if they weren't giving away so many ridiculous. There are bad calls, but they give away so many ridiculous PKs. You sit here and they are PKs. I've clearly seen full tackles to the legs, and you're just questioning, why would you do that? Just be a little more patient.
At least half of them haven't been fair, though.
And not half. I mean, there's a quarter of them, 100%. There are really bad calls, and I look at them, I'm like, this is ridiculous. But
I think that soccer players can be big floppers. That's my opinion.
Okay,
but
you're running at a high speed, and when you get even nudged just a little bit, you're going to lose balance. You can't help it. I mean, it really is hard to say. Like, I know you want to call him on flopping, and I agree sometimes, like, Cristiano Ronaldo has flopped in the past, but when you're running that fast, it is hard to stay balanced.
What are your thoughts on, I know you're a big fan of soccer and you love it. Do you think that soccer players are big floppers, or do you think?
Big time. Just even the women's, it's just all of it. Very easy to just pull the ref's attention, because that's what you have to do.
The refs got to be on that. They got to know who's a flopper and who's not.
I think a good way to fix it is if you went and used replay and just said after the game, it's like, by the way.
Well, if you said after the game, yeah, that would be better. But replay, they've talked about it in the years, bringing replay into soccer, and it would ruin it, because then you get like a timeout in a sense, and that timeout for a soccer player.
Not bringing replay into baseball and it would ruin it, but yet baseball has replay now.
Okay, but it doesn't mean it's a better sport. If for soccer is a fast-paced game, replay will slow it down, and it would be almost as a timeout, and that timeout is something as a player, any player knows. That's a great time to catch your breath, to get back, and you won't make certain mistakes you'll make in that 89th minute, the 80-minute marks that should happen because you aren't training hard enough. If you train hard enough, then you won't have those issues. I would hate replay in soccer. It would ruin everything this sport has
I think
built.
It could have its benefits and its downfalls. I mean, a lot of these bad calls that have happened with the Sounders, there was one particular play that I saw where the Sounders got called against a back heel against a player, and he fell, and he got a free kick.
That was ridiculous.
And the guy didn't even touch him.
Yeah, that was such a ridiculous call.
Didn't even touch him.
I remember looking at it, and I was just like I understand your guys' frustration with the refs.
You have to be better. The refs have to be better. Don't you agree? The refs have to be better.
If we had better reffing, I think we could be at least halfway up the table by now.
I think the MLS reffing is just really bad.
The Sounders' record right now is 5-9-1. I mean, they've lost 5 of their last 6 games. So, I mean, that is – I think they're just in second to last place in their conference. Last year they made the playoffs, so it's not really looking like it's going down the same road this year for them.
Probably not.
I mean, how many games do they have left?
That's a good question. Kira, do you know how many games they have left?
Because I know in the BPL they play with they have 38 games. So depending on how many they have left, they could come back mid-table, maybe pull some, get into the playoffs. Maybe they would have to perform really well.
Another thing about soccer is once you MLS in particular is once these players get really good, it seems they leave to go overseas.
It does,
and then that's kind of frustrating. Just to have players on your team start to do good for your team, and then they just leave overseas.
Well, they leave because they want to go somewhere they're going to be challenged. When you're playing against a bunch of people that are clearly below you, that's why I was really upset.
Are we like the farm system for the rest of the world?
Pretty much.
How is MLS ever going to catch up?
Your players just have to get better.
They have to have the money.
Yeah, you have to be able to buy good players.
That's what it kind of boils down to, is and the popularity has to be there.
We have a price cap on our team, so you will never get that talent. Because in Europe, all their teams, you can spend so much money that it doesn't even matter. Where we have a strict price cap on our team, so.
Well, thank you guys for being on and talking about soccer. I know we could go on for a lot longer. There's a lot of debate about that. But before we can get to our next segment in the discussion of the roller coaster ride the Mariners have been on this season, we are going to take a quick break. And when we get back, be ready to hear about the ever-changing Mariners 2016 season. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to BTC Sports Line. I have Ray back here with me, and we are ready to jump right into the Mariners and all the big moves that have happened over the month of June, with not only them, but their AAA affiliate in the Tacoma Rainiers as well. Thanks for being back, Ray. I missed you.
Well, thanks, Michelle.
So a lot has happened in June this month for the Mariners, and it's not really necessarily that good. The M's record this month is 9-18. The Rangers record is 20-7, and the Astros is 18-8. So because of all that, we are now sitting in third place. I think like 2 games back from the Astros and like 11 games back from the Rangers. What went wrong? What happened?
Well, being a Seattle fan for as long as I am, I've been through disasters. This isn't a disaster. We're 1 game above 500, or actually 2 games above 500 as of last night. We just took down the Orioles, which They're on a 4-game winning streak.
I think we're actually even at 500.
No,
because we
we're
lost
above
the game
500.
before that, which put us even again.
No, we're above 500. And
Well, maybe one game then, not two.
one game above 500. We'll go with that.
Compromise? Can we compromise?
We took down the Baltimore Orioles yesterday. You know, they're on a 4-game winning streak coming into us. They gave us their best pitcher in Chris Tillman. We went ahead and hit him pretty good, and they don't really have a really good starting pitching staff. So we have 3 more games against Baltimore at home. We should be able to win this series, if not even do better than that.
And Walker was pitching for us last night, right?
Thank goodness Taiwan's back. He's one of my favorite pitchers for the Mariners. He pitched really well from his ankle injury of whatever sort that was, and I'm excited to see him back.
It's good to see him come back and pitch good like that, because the night before we had Miley pitching, and he was back from a DL stint as well, and he didn't look so good out there.
Yeah, Miley wasn't quite on his game, although his game wasn't quite on before he left.
This
so
is true.
It's kind of hard to determine whether it's, he's just not pitching well overall, or if he's still injured from the previous
I'm not really
injury.
sold on him. And it's kind of odd because they brought him back, but they sent Carnes to the bullpen. So now Carnes has been demoted to being a bullpen pitcher, demoted, I guess you could say. We'll see how he does. That seemed to work out really well for Mike Montgomery being put in the bullpen. But Carnes' record was 6-2 with a 4.65 ERA. That's not much different than where Miley's sitting.
No, Carnes I think he has some confidence issues. He doesn't look like he can really come out at the beginning of the game. If he gets a couple hits on him, he just kind of loses his muster. He's 6-2, yes, but he's been pulled from other games earlier before he got the loss.
Yeah, he couldn't really get very deep into the game.
Exactly. And so that's why they're using him in the bullpen, and they're going to start him in the bullpen as only at the beginning of innings so he doesn't have to come in high-pressure situations.
They're going to baby him, it sounds like, kind of hold his hand and walk him through it.
To change somebody from a starting pitcher where they're kind of the man coming into the game.
Does it hurt your pride a little bit?
It hurts your pride a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not very cool.
Like I said, Montgomery's been doing pretty good. He's younger, though, so he hasn't really had that solid role as being a starting pitcher. So putting him in the bullpen could be a little bit different than putting Carnes, who's more of a veteran, in the game.
Yeah, you look at our pitching in general overall. We're going to be okay. We got Felix Hernandez coming back.
I'm kind of worried about it.
Taiwan Walker's back. Iwakuma's pitching well. John Paxton threw a 100-mile-per-hour fastball. I don't know the last time I saw that happen in his last outing.
That's promising.
Which is pretty awesome. Diaz is playing great out of the bullpen.
We brought in a new pitcher.
Yeah.
We signed Wade LeBlanc, a veteran that we picked up from the Blue Jays. He hasn't started since 2014, and he pitched 6 scoreless innings on his debut, so that's promising.
Yeah, like I said, I see a lot of good going on for the Mariners. We're only 2 games out of the wild card. We're way behind Texas, but Texas is playing lights out. What are you supposed to do with that?
They're like the Oakland A's from 2 years ago.
Pretty much, but
they had an epic fall too.
In 1995, we came back from way worse a deficit than this. So anything's possible.
We're kind of being, we're Mariners fans, so we're used to them being under 500 and not even getting above. So the fact that they're even above 500 right now should just be joyous in itself. But we were spoiled a little bit because they were sitting 10 games above 500 coming into June.
And it's baseball, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So they're gonna go ahead and they're gonna play these games. They're gonna have losing streaks. They're gonna have winning streaks. And the way I see it, the way their pieces are coming back together, I think they're gonna be on a winning streak coming into this. Some of our players are playing lights out for the season. On offense, we got 3 players almost at, we got 20 home runs, 19 and 15 home runs from
Cruz, Cano, and Seager.
Absolutely. And then we have, they're hitting, great RBI numbers.
Lind is right behind him, too. I think Lind's got 14 home runs as well, or 11, I think it was.
The combination of Dejo and Lind is just amazing. We had Saunders at first base before. That's dramatic difference for our team. We had low expectations coming into the season, so it's awesome to see them performing the way they are right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You can't get too upset about where they're at, like I said, because they are doing better than they have the past 14 years. So we still have a lot to look forward to, but there's been so many changes going on. They've been trading people from AAA. They've been bringing up pitchers. I think they brought up 3 different pitchers this last couple weeks. We actually traded Chris Taylor to the Dodgers for right-hand pitcher Zach Lee. Do you know much about this Zach Lee?
I don't know much about Zach Lee. I do know a lot about Chris Taylor, though. Chris Taylor's underperformed pretty much his whole career. He looked really good last season, coming in for Brad Miller.
He was leading the Rainiers in hits.
Yeah, but he's coming in for Brad Miller in the majors.
Anyone will look good.
If you can throw the ball from shortstop to first base, you automatically are better. But Taylor had many errors coming in this season, and his fielding was suspect. I mean, dropping Aoki down, I mean, that's kind of with Martin coming back, that's kind of where that's going to go eventually. And Smith out there is batting lights out. He's taking 14, 15 pitch hits or at bats, and he's making contact. Had a home run last night.
Well, and Zanino's back up now too. They just called Zanino back up because
I don't like
Clevenger
that.
broke his hand. Well, I mean, there's injuries, and this is his chance. You gotta make a splash when you have your opportunity. And Zanino is getting his opportunity right now with Clevenger being hurt.
Zanino's already had his opportunity. It's ridiculous for him to be moved up right now.
This is baseball. They give people opportunities forever. I mean,
know.
look how long we held on to Chone Figgins. Look how long we held on to Smoke. I mean, they were terrible, but they were with us for how long?
That's because we had no other viable option. We have 3 catchers that can play ball right now. Well, 2 with the injuries. I mean, you got Ionetta and I can't even think of the other catcher that we have, Clevenger.
He's hurt though.
Well, yeah, but Ionetta is a very viable option. And they started the season saying that we're going to put Mike Zanino, we're going to put him down in the minors. He's going to play minor league ball all season long. And now they're bringing him up.
Well, they have
and
to bring
he's
him
still
up,
not
though.
ready.
But they have to. They have no option. Clevenger's got a broken hand. So
Welcome
they
to
have
the next
bring him
Brad
up.
Miller.
Well, that's we're looking at options, and this is the option that we got. So you
plays
gotta
great in minor league ball.
You gotta live with what you got, and but they did just bring up Jesus Sucre back up to the Rainier. So maybe if he broke his elbow in winter play for Venezuela.
Sucre averaged like a 160 last year.
Well, like I
He's
said,
awful.
you got options though. I mean, unless they make a trade, could they make a trade for a catcher?
The whole purpose of it was to keep Zanino down so he learned how to hit. And he's hitting great in minor league ball, but he's going to come up and he's going to face these big time pitchers again, and you know what? He's going to be home run or strikeout,
But
just like he was before.
if they only have Ionetta, they need someone else. They have to have someone else behind him to back him up. And if Zanino's the only option, then Zanino's the only option.
But they're not going to back him up with him. They're going to end up putting him in, just like they said they wouldn't all
And
all
he'll
preseason.
strike out, and he'll strike out, and he'll strike out.
and
Maybe
then he'd
make
pop
one
a
home run
every once
like
in a while.
every
It's
30
ridiculous.
games or
It's
something.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. I mean, yeah.
From a fan's perspective, you're looking at it, and he's a player that needs work. And having Edgar be his batting coach is a great opportunity for him. But you know what?
But he didn't look that great last year when Edgar came in.
He didn't.
He still didn't do much.
He can't seem to get a hold of those breaking balls, whether it's be the slider or
He'll
the curveball.
swing on the most ridiculous things. It can be. Anyways, I think we're getting a little off topic here. Let's see. So what can the offense do to kind of like back up the pitching? If we can get the pitching going, the offense has been doing good, but they've been so hit or miss. We have our 3 solid guys, but what can the rest of them do?
Well, I mean, overall, the Mariners overall have been better than they have been last year, or even the year before. And the year before, they almost made it into the playoffs.
One game away.
One game away. It was pretty great from my perspective. But they need to get more hits with runners in scoring position. That's really what it boils down to. Even last night we won, but they were 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position.
And it was kind of close. They let the Orioles come back a little bit. I think that comes down to our bullpen, man. Our bullpen has gotten tired over the season with some of our starting pitchers not making it that deep into the game, so they have to come in. And once we get Felix back, though, maybe things can turn around. And they're talking about bringing him back before the All-Star break if he's ready.
Yeah, it's possible. But going back to the bullpen, Steve Cishek, he's like the worst pitcher in baseball to have 19 saves before the All-Star break.
Sounds like Fernando Rodney.
He's pretty bad. Rodney's doing better than he is, actually.
That's terrible.
Right now.
That like hurts my heart that you would say that. Like I was not a big fan of Fernando Rodney.
It's true. I actually really liked Fernando Rodney until last season, because the year before he was lights out. He was a great closer.
He almost gave me a heart attack every single time he came in the game.
Well, that's kind of what a closer does. They throw hard, fast pitches. They got the lead, so they want you to pop it up or ground it out. So
I think he just signed with the Marlins too. Actually,
Yeah,
he just jumps from team
he's
to
doing
team.
great. He's doing great.
He's doing so great that every team wants to get rid of him.
He's
That's
got
how great
23
he's doing.
saves.
He's doing so great. Every team wants to get rid of him.
He's great.
If he was so great, someone would keep him.
It's true. I mean, maybe the manager just can't handle the stress.
The arrow at the end,
the up and down.
cockiness. Yeah.
It's the hat sideways, probably.
It's definitely the hat sideways.
Yeah.
That's got to be it. Well, that was good talk, Ray. We could go on forever about the Mariners and Rainiers. It's always fun to talk baseball, especially with you. But thanks for everyone for tuning in today. And next week, we'll be having much to discuss with the NBA free agency officially kicking off and some of the sport's biggest names on the market. Kevin Durant, Dwight Howard, Dwayne Wade, and the most talked about and recent addition to the group, the ever so popular LeBron James, who decided to opt out of his contract and has sparked a heated debate on if he will leave his hometown once again. We will be here to make sure we get the call for whatever is calling our line the Sports Line. Thank you and see you next time.